Today, welcome to podcast number 2 of Let's Hook In. I've got Nikke Horrigan here today. Nick's a young bloke I met on a work site, and right from the word go, I knew he was a bit of a goer. I thought he was a pretty nice sort of a dude. I work with his partner. She's a lovely lady, and Nick's got a story that I think everybody will resonate with. Maybe not resonate with, but will take on board. He's a bit different as far as the business goes. He's into fashion design as a bloke. Now, that's no judgment there, obviously, but where I grew up, fashion design wasn't a typical male thing, the old Western New South Wales bloody blokes go to do a trade sort of thing. But as it turns out, Nick's done a few trades as it is as well, so I think Nick's just not going to stop in life. He's going to keep going and going and going, and I'll pass over to Nick and he can give you a rundown of where he come from and what he's done, and let's do it.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Well, I guess if we want to start from way back, like I grew up born and bred in Ipswich. So I went to school here, obviously, went to Eddie's, sort of did the usual thing, boys would do, played a lot of footy. I grew up boxing, so I had a few amateur fights. So I've sort of got into boxing for sort of pre-season. I think most guys do.
For fitness?
For fitness. Yep. And then, at a young age, I think I was 15, 14, I started doing that. And then obviously fell in love with boxing, but then went into rugby because it was a bit more team-based.
We're talking union or league?
Union. Did play league, but obviously went to Eddie, so I played union for school and all the rest of it. So after I left school, yeah, you're right, I did do a couple of apprenticeships. Never finished them because I just couldn't see myself doing them. And so I ended up, long story short, I ended up going into the coal mines. But actually prior to that, I actually went to the Navy and became an aircraft technician. We studied it. But then I soon got out of that because I didn't like being told what to do.
Yep.
Didn't like getting a haircut. That was probably the last straw for me.
Yeah, right.
And so I got into a bit of trouble down there, and then I ended up leaving and ended up going in the mines, underground coal mining, and playing footy up there. So.
Yep. Underground coal mining, what sort of coal mining? We're talking longwall or board and pillar?
Yeah, development. So I was also in secondary support, so obviously supporting the roof from collapsing and things like that. And then I was on a maintenance crew when we were working on the belts, conveyor belts. So that was quite intense and hard work. So you definitely earned your money there.
I think I had a conversation with you a while back. I did a bit of underground coal mining as well.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, I did 4 years underground coal mining at Springvale in New South Wales.
Oh, New South Wales, yeah.
You know Lithgow?
Yeah, no.
Bathurst?
Bathurst, yeah.
Yeah, so Lithgow's 2.5 hours west of Sydney, directly. There was a heap of coal mines there. I was in corrections and I got bored of it. And there was a very rare opportunity to get a start as a greenskin. They put three of us on.
Greenskin, yeah.
So I did 4 years underground. I did development, did some secondary support, did some out-by work on the belts. Pretty much the same sort of thing as what you've done.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it's actually funny because I haven't spoken to anyone about it for a long time. So when you said the greenskin, I was just like, I fully forgot about that.
We didn't have to wear a different coloured hat which was good.
Yeah.
I know other pits make you wear a different coloured hat.
So that was definitely a thing.
So how did you find coal mining? Didn't like it, or I'll give you my opinion first if you like.
Yeah, go.
My thoughts on coal mining, coming from where I come from in corrections, it was brilliant. It was a beautiful change. It basically my pay nearly doubled overnight.
Oh, yeah.
And I enjoyed coal mining for probably, I'll be honest with you, probably 6, maybe 12 months.
Yeah.
Because everything was new. I was getting in there, learning.
100%.
It was great. The money was great. Then after a while, I just thought, coal mines, I'm going down. I'm going to get in the transport. I'm going to drive 40 minutes to the face.
Yeah.
I'm going to go down there. The first metre of coal we cut, I'm going to be soaking wet and filthy dirty, and that's me for the next 8 hours.
Yeah.
Not that I'm worried about that, but there just wasn't much. There's probably more satisfaction in coal mining than corrections, but I just didn't like doing the repetitive stuff. Yeah. So we come for a couple of holidays at the Gold Coast, me and the wife, and I was just mucking around with her one day, and I said, "Why don't we move up here?"
Yeah.
And she looked at me and said, "Oh, that'd be all right." And I went, "What?" I sort of thought she didn't say no.
Yeah,
I went, "Oh,
that's a
God."
green light, yeah.
I went, "Okay." So, and I kept pushing that, and 6 months later, I thought, 6 months later, we moved. And but at the time, I think I'm not going to let go of this. Gold Coast is, everyone loves the Gold Coast. So I applied for a couple of jobs, police, corrections. I looked at buying businesses and stuff like. But at the end of the day, I'd done this for so long, I got straight back into it.
Yeah, just knew it.
Yeah, but coal mining was good.
Yeah.
But not for long term. Hard,
Nah.
cold, wet.
I think, yeah, definitely you reminded me a lot of my experience there, because obviously new, I think I was fairly young, maybe 20 something, 21, 20, went in there and obviously earning, 120 plus a year or something as that young.
Yep.
You buy the car, you get carried away and all the rest of
Yep.
it. And it's hard work. I remember a really vivid moment when I was drilling on an offsider, and I remember like just having like coal and water all over my face and in my gum boots, and I just remember just going, I've really fucked up here. Like, I've really fucked up. This is hard work.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking about it for ages and ages, but things got better. But yeah, I obviously knew that had to end eventually, so I kept put my money away.
Yep.
And just kept saving and saving. And then eventually, when I was working on the ground, I was already like writing business plans. Like, I'd have like notepads and I'd come up with ideas, and I'd like draw things like with clothes, and I'd like think about names and like how I would produce things and all the rest of it. And I'd do it on night shift, and I'd just have all these little notes.
Underground?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd just have everything hidden in my pockets, and I did that throughout my whole FIFO life. Like,
Yep.
I'd have samples sent to my donga and stuff like that. But yeah, leading up to that, like, I actually got out because I was like, I need to get away. So I came back, had a whole heap of money. What am I going to do? So, and I was doing FIFO, so I went out in the gas line as well, and started going out there for a bit. But then I was like, I'm sick of this. Like, my whole life was sort of just out there the whole time, and everything else was sort of, slipping by the wayside. So I said, I'm going to come back. And I ended up studying fashion business, and then I went to Europe and basically came back with, a whole heap of ideas and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm going to really make a crack at this.
Yep.
And so had no idea how to do things. Not like now, like you can just like Google everything.
Spotify. Not
Yeah.
Spotify, what's it?
Shopify, yeah. And then, just everything's laid out. So many people done it, but like I was kind of on the cusp when everything was sort of still new.
Okay.
And then, basically from that point on, I didn't really know exactly how I was going to start it, but I basically just, got my computer and just started, Googling things and obviously researching certain things. And I started doing sewing lessons, met a few women that could, make some clothes for me. And then I started selling to just a group of friends. And then from them friends, they sort of just expanded.
Right. So where did your love of fashion come from?
It came from my parents. Like, my dad was quite suave back in the day, so a lot of the style that I sort of embed in the business or the brand comes from him. Because he's, he was quite. It was like in the 70s and 80s, like they're pretty flamboyant, and so was mum. So I still got a lot of all my dad's old vintage clothes,
Okay, yeah.
So it's always good to use that as a reference. So that came across, but see, I didn't tell my dad about my business.
Okay.
And my dad never knew about it. So when I left the mines, Dad was really pissed off because he was just like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm doing something, just don't worry about it because you won't understand it. Like, because he was always about, get a trade, get on the tools,
That's
blah,
where I was
blah,
coming
blah.
from earlier, yeah.
100%. It's like, if people in business, they rip people off, like he just really kept putting this bad spin on, like, doing your own thing. And I guess it was, none of his fault. It was just how he grew up.
Yeah.
And that's what he was told. And so I kept it a secret. And then basically there was one pivotal moment when I got onto the newspaper or whatever it was about my business, and my dad didn't know about it.
You got in the newspaper, like for an ad or something?
No, for an interview.
Okay.
By the QT, I think it was, And obviously they heard about my story and whatnot. And I just basically left the newspaper on his desk, on his coffee desk at his house, because he used to drink coffee and read the paper. And I went for a run.
Okay.
And he comes in. I come back actually after the run, and he goes, "Oh yeah, so I seen you're in the paper there. Did your friends congratulate you?" And I said, "Yeah, they did." And that was, I guess, his way of saying congratulations for doing it. Like, he couldn't say it directly, and I just had a bit of a laugh about it. But yeah, that was kind of the moment leading up to everything. But yeah.
So right from the word go, your label.
Yeah.
Nikke.
Yeah,
Nikke
so
Horrigan.
basically Nikke comes from my mum. Mum always used to call me Nikke as a kid.
Okay, yeah.
And so that was kind of, in honour of her, because she was very supportive from the very get-go of the business. And she, long story short, encouraged me to go overseas and find these manufacturers, because obviously I was producing everything in Australia. And then the demand was getting big, and the ladies couldn't keep up with it. So I was like, I need to start doing stuff. So I did some research and try to figure out where all these big brands were going, and I found out they were going to a place called Guangzhou over in China. Yeah, and I was like, I've never heard of the place. Anyway, long story short, a week leading up to the to my flight, I was at Indooroopilly Shopping Centre, and I was talking to this retail guy who worked at a suit store, and he goes, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I'm a fashion designer. Planning to go over to Guangzhou." And he goes, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, "I was just over there for 9 months as an English interpreter for an Australian manufacturer over there." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." He goes, "You should see him. You should meet him. His name's James. Here's his details." Because I didn't know anyone over there. I had no connections. And he's like, "Here's his details. Have him and reach out to him." So I'm like, "Yeah, no worries. Thanks, mate." Didn't really think about it. Got on my suitcase. Didn't tell my dad that I was going overseas. So I told my mum, because I was still at that time, because I didn't have a house because I was still flying away. Yep. So then I came back and...
So your early 20s?
Yeah, still? So I was crashing with them. And I said to Mum, "I'm going over to China. Don't tell Dad because you'll fucking flip." He's like, "Yeah, it's all right. We'll tell him that you're in Sydney." So, so I get on a flight, go over there, and I'm like so silly. I get there at I've completely mistimed the flight. So I get there like 12 o'clock at night. So I don't know anything, can't speak the language, get in a taxi. It's hot, it's like raining. They drops me off at this place called the Rich Hotel. Couldn't speak to the lady because I couldn't understand her, so I had Google Translator. And there's like rats in my room and crawling around. Anyway, the next morning I went to the factories. I got a cab to what I thought was like the industrial estate. Like there was nothing there, so I'd completely misdropped. And I was like, holy shit, like I'm walking the streets with a suitcase full of these tech packs and designs. I'm like, I've just completely stuffed up here. Like, I've spent all this money to fly over here. Like, I'm an idiot. You think you're going to build a business? You're an absolute spastic. Like, you're kidding yourself. Anyway, I messaged old mate via email. I just said, "Hey mate, look, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. Love to see you." And never got back to me. So I was like, "Oh, righto, no worries." Anyway, I heard the name of his business. So I was like, I'll just Google it in China. And so I found it. And then I'm like, okay, no worries. Next step, I need to speak to someone to try and get me there. So I was walking around these streets trying to ask people to help me. Anyway, no one could speak English. And I was like, managed to find someone. I was like, "Here, have this, mate. Can you show me where to get this?" He's like, "No worries. It's like nearly 2 hours away." He's like, "But you'll be fine." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because this is all I've got, like my suitcase and stuff. Chucks me in there. Anyway, long story short, get there. And when I get to the place, it's nearly nighttime. And I'm like looking at this like industrial place. And it looks like they're like make Coca-Cola here. And I was like, fuck, this doesn't look like a garment factory. But anyway, thanks. And then he sped off. And I was like, holy shit, like I've got no phone. Like I don't know where I am. Anyway, I meet this random fella at the gate. And I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for this fella." And he's like, "Oh, okay." I'm like fashion? He's like, "Oh, I think so." And he takes me up these stairs. I end up finding this guy. This is the crazy part. I see all these Aboriginal flags and stuff and didgeridoos, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is definitely Australian." Like I'm walking into it, and I speak to the first person at the counter. She can speak English. I was like, "Hey, it's James here," and she's like, "Yeah, he's just in the back." I was like, "No worries, thanks for that." So I went down the back and said, "Oh, hey mate, look, I just emailed you. I thought I'd just drop in, even though I flew over here." And then he's like, "Oh, whereabouts are you from?" And I was like, "Oh, Brizzy," because I said obviously Australian. And he goes, "Whereabouts in Brizzy?" And I said, "Oh, Ipswich Chippy." And he's like, "What school did you go to?" I said, "Eddie's." And he goes, "Bullshit." And I was like, "Why?" And he goes, "I went to Eddie's." And I was like, "What?" So he turned out to be 10 years older than me, like obviously graduated, but he did Chinese as a business thing. And then ended up just building a business over in China and like establishing himself. And then he works for Quicksilver.
Okay. Is he Australian?
Yeah, Australian.
Australian bloke, yep.
So Australian bloke, red haired fella, like Australian as you could get him, bluey. Yeah. And and then basically started working with him. And that was basically my first foot into full offshore manufacturing. Right.
So you've rocked up to this place?
Yeah.
With a
suitcase.
Excuse my ignorance, but a suitcase portfolio of your gear.
Yeah.
How much has it changed since then?
Oh, heaps, man.
Okay.
I look at some of my stuff and go, holy shit.
So this is a classic. I wouldn't say rags to riches because you did. It's not like you had no money because you did the coal mine thing.
Yeah.
But this is a. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to have a crack. I'm going to just going to. You didn't really know what you're doing.
I had no idea what I was doing.
But you just thought, I'll do this, I'll do that. Yeah. And here we are, what, 10?
Yeah, 10.
15?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Years later, and you've got Nikke Horrigan.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm flabbergasted. Like, I've never met a guy like you before. I've met plenty of people. But as soon as I met you at where we used to work together, I thought, this bloke's different. He's not just going to come here and bludge and do nothing and, complain about everything, and because that's what our culture's like there.
Yeah.
And I knew straight away. Then I don't think it was straight away I found out about your clothing line.
Yeah.
But then I found out about it later on, and I found out your partner, and I thought, wow, this bloke's pretty cool. And then now I'm doing this podcast thing. I thought,
it's pretty cool.
Actually, speaking to you for the first, what have we been going, 15 minutes? I'm thinking, shit, this bloke's way too overqualified for my second podcast. This is a story for someone a bit higher than me, But thanks for coming on anyway.
I appreciate it.
Rightio, so let's get into the nux of it. We've done the coal mining thing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go to my little cheat notes here.
Yeah. Oh, you got the notes?
Yeah, got some notes. They're not my notes. I've stolen them. So this is a little bit about Nikke Horrigan. This is from your website, and I'm just going to, sorry about that, I'm going to break down a couple of things. So who we are. So welcome Nikke Horrigan, a lifestyle brand dedicated to providing a unique experience tailored specifically for the modern gentleman who values effortless style, quality, craftsmanship, and a lifestyle that harmoniously combines leisure, fitness, and adventure. That speaks for itself. You come up with all this. Like this. Yeah. This is where I'm going with this question. So this company, these products, are they all you?
Yeah.
The picture of the fish, I'll show you. There's some clothes later. We've got some stuff hanging on the side there that you can't see out of camera. The fish, I've got a couple of designs here that I printed off. Actually, the fish was one because I like that one. So
it's quite popular.
Because I'm such a great technical person, I'm just going to hold this up.
Oh yeah, the old crocodile. That is like one of our top sellers.
Now I look at that and I'm thinking, did Nick? I'm just holding in front of all the cameras because I don't know how I'm going to edit it. So you drew that crocodile?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I use the computer, obviously.
Right. Now, I'm going to pause you there. I'm going to bring up, this is nothing to do with you, this story, but it's a story. Now, I'm not going to say I've always been into fashion design because I clearly haven't. But I've always been a bit of a bloke that likes to listen to people's stories. I describe myself as an entrepreneur trapped in a tradie's body.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Really feel that.
100% would get that.
Yeah. I've tried the MLM, I've tried... we got wrapped into, what's that one, the main one? Amway, I think it was. Had a look at a few others. I'm always looking on Facebook for people that, there's a few decent people on Facebook that I don't know too well, but they're doing really well in their chosen MLM businesses.
Yeah.
Or what do they call it now? Online marketing, because MLM's too scary.
Yeah.
And I found one product called Prove It. It's a drink that gets you into ketosis.
In ketosis.
I know that sounds wrong, but it actually worked. Great product. I tried it, wife tried it, we were on it for, 2 months, 6 weeks to 2 months, and basically you drink the drink and half an hour later your body's into ketosis. You know what ketosis is? You're burning fat instead of, and it gives you all this energy, and it really worked. I lost some weight, not that I was in it for the weight loss, but I was waking up fresher, I was more alert during the day. It was a great product.
Is it like a tablet or
a drink? It's like a protein shake. Throw a powder in, shake it up, drink it with a bit of ice in it. That was great. Product worked. I thought, this could be the one.
Yeah.
But to buy that product was ridiculously expensive. It was like, $160 for 20 packets or 30 packets. So that's a month, I suppose, or 15 days if you have 2 a day. It was ridiculously priced. And it was out of reach for the general, the normal person. So, the product worked, but it was just too expensive. And I couldn't sell. I'm not a salesman's ass. I can't say, Nick, buy this. Go into ketosis and drink this, and I'm sorry for the people that are on the ketosis drink, the ketone. It does work, but it turned into more of a MLM product than an actual health and fitness product. And I've always got my eyes open, always, and I just haven't found that right thing yet. I've got some ideas that I've had, but I never follow up on this podcast. I've been talking about doing this for 12 months.
No, it's good that you're doing it.
Yeah.
You just got to. That's one thing. It's one foot at a
going.
time. Yeah.
And I'm getting people on like yourself, and people are going to watch this, and I'm not going to leave my crappy job to do this full time. Oh, that'd be great. Don't get me wrong. That'd be awesome. But yeah, so that's my entrepreneur as a trapped in a tradesman's body, or a tradesman's mindset, whatever you want to call it. That's my. So when I see blokes like you that have actually done it and walked the walk, talk the talk, done the yards.
It's funny that you're saying that because it is really hard. And I remember I copped a lot of flack for it when I was working away in the mines. You know, I'd have guys laughing, "Oh, Nikke Horrigan, the fashion designer, blah, blah, blah." And I said, one day, mate, you're going to unwrap one of your Christmas presents. You're going to be wearing one of my jocks that your wife bought for Christmas for you. And just sort of give them shit like that. And I don't think they really knew how big it'd actually go.
Yeah, right.
And obviously now to this point, you know, Westfield Shopping Centre and on the Iconic now and selling all around Australia and the world, it leaves me satisfied inside.
Has that bloke sent you a message?
I can't even remember his name. That's how you know, irrelevant he is as a person to me. Yeah. But you just have these flashbacks of the journey that you sort of paved the way for yourself. You know, you felt crazy at the time because you were getting samples sent to, you know, to work out there, and then, you know, you're in your donga while most people are out drinking piss at the wet mess and all the rest of it. And I'm inside, like, talking to factories overseas and, you know, trying to get things sorted in my head. And, you know, you're doing this all by yourself. So, you know, you're getting up every day for yourself and keeping motivated. Like, I didn't have a business partner when I was starting out and sort of pushing forward. So everything had to, you know, be motivated by myself. So that was just, something that I had to get across the line. I
think that's where most normal people, I'm not saying you're not normal, but most people would struggle with that part, doing it all yourself, getting to a certain point, and I've done it myself, you know, I've had a couple of little ideas, I made some sports cards for the Ipswich Ipswich Falcons, touch footy. Went to a carnival, made little sports cards out of, got them printed properly, did all the work myself. It was a really horrendous job, but they come up well. But then that was it, I stopped. I thought, most people get to a point where they go, right, this is either too hard or, oh, it's not worth it or whatever. But you've just kept going.
I think that is it. And I think to myself, I think you got to be a little bit crazy at the same time. And like, I knew that I never sort of fitted the mold. Like, I always knew, not in like an arrogant way. I just knew that I was sort of different, that I ticked different to most of the people, especially like around my friends, because they're all blue collar workers now. They're all finished trades. And back when I was like doing this and I wasn't really seeing any progress, and I'd look at them and I was like, holy shit, like, what have I done? I've like done a full bump steer here. I've gone like way right. And they were like, you know, getting into property, you know, buying their first home. And I used to have these conversations, which is, you know, pretty deep with my mum. And I was like, remember like speaking to her, because I was on the grind, I was hustling for this. And Mum's like, I used to get in the car and we used to like drive to like, you know, Pullenvale and Brookfield, and we'd sort of like go and look at all these nice houses, and I'd sort of daydream. I'd like motivate me to keep like pushing myself forward when I was working away and stuff. And she said, don't worry, it'll be your turn next. Like, it'll be your turn next.
Mum always believed in you.
And believed in me. And then, you know, and then I got into property, and then next minute I started investing in property, and then so that was then my next interest. So then, you know, while my mates were getting their first house, like I was like second, third, you know, moving forward with that. And so I knew that I wanted to also build a property portfolio. This is kind of getting sidetracked, but also build the business. So I always wanted to have all that, you know, financial support behind me, that I was always going to be okay. So, and
that's the difference between yourself and other young blokes that go coal mining. Like you said, they'll go coal mining, they'll earn 120, 130 a year, and they'll go and buy, they'll go into get the biggest house,
the Maloo,
the boats, the Maloo, the jet skis, the motorbikes, and by the time they've got it all set up, there might be a bit of a lull in the industry and they might lose their job and they're screwed.
Yeah, and you'd see them on the side of the roads in Mackay, all the Land Cruisers and the jet skis for sale.
Right.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of my mates that were in there, and they're still in it today, and I just wonder where all the money's gone. Like, obviously, you'd have some pretty big nights out at Early Beach, because I lived in Early Beach there for about a year there, so that was pretty wild.
I'll tell you what, you've probably bumped into a heap of people I know from, because a lot of coal miners from down my way have gone up this way. I've got a mate that lives in Sippy Downs, just up the road.
Oh yeah, Sippy Downs, yeah.
He's a fly-in, fly-out.
Yeah.
When I first come up here, as I said, I got back into corrections because that's what I knew. I didn't want to do the fly-in, fly-out thing. I hadn't done it before.
Yeah.
Because where I worked at Lithgow Jail, my coal mine was like another 4 or 5 kilometres past Lithgow Jail. So I was only 10 minutes from home.
Yeah.
I've never done the fly-in, fly-out thing. Didn't want to do it. And you know what? Strangely enough, me and the wife, we still love each other. You know, we like being together still, which is weird for over 30 years.
That's crazy,
Yeah. But so, well, I didn't want to be away, and I didn't do it. I stayed away from the coal mining, got back into corrections. You know what? I had a plan of doing something different, do corrections for 12 months, buy a business. I looked at shade sale businesses. I looked at shutter blinds, all these sort of things, but...
Yeah, you know what? You just reminded me, and it's not a bad thing. Like my dad, he was quite an entrepreneur. He had property and all the rest of it, and he had all these business ideas. He worked in the QR as a bridge inspector, as a diver, and all the rest of it. And you know, he had all these like ideas about doing, like he used to flip properties and stuff like that. Like had a fair bit of it. But had all these dreams, but never really pushed through.
Yep.
And Mum said the same thing. She's like, the only thing different between you and your father is that you just follow through. Like you go through. Like he'll say it, but then like he'll back himself out, if that makes sense. Like he'll talk himself out of it. Like I remember, like him and I were going to do a deal together on a property and all the rest of it, and like red hot. Like we had the papers going. Like we had the plans for the development for these duplexes and stuff like that. Like everything was going to be set up properly. And the next minute, like he found one fault and just fucking ran with it. And I just couldn't work it out. And I was like, we'll overcome that. That'll be piss easy. No. It's off. And I was just like, shit, he's going straight back to that mindset of, you know, scarcity. Like always fearful. And I always try to explain that to my dad. Like when he was like, oh, you know, I'm worried about you when you know, you're always trying to achieve all this and you get to the top and, you know, what's it really all for and all the rest of it. And so it's not really about that. It's just like, I like doing it. Like it's not really like an end result. It's just like, I just like the hustle and sort of doing it.
So getting back to your comment about your mates, you know, and the blokes, the workmates at the coal mine, oh, you're a fashion designer, you know. I imagine it's in that sort of context.
100%.
And that's, I think I mentioned earlier.
They used to call me pretty boy. Pretty boy. Like, oh,
well,
boy.
Look, I'm a heterosexual male. I'm not going to make judgments. You're a good-looking bloke. But okay. So that's pretty boy, as in pretty boy, derogatory, humorous type banter, I guess. But that's where I was coming from when I first started, and I made that comment about not something I would have, you know, been shown to do or encouraged to do as a young'un.
Yeah.
But those mates that you grew up with.
Yep.
Still in touch with them, obviously? And how's their attitude towards you now? I mean, your work.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've taken me a lot more serious because I'm, you know, far more established now. And, you know, like what I said ages ago about the properties and stuff like that, like they're always like, oh, you got a job yet and all the rest of it, because I was always hustling. And, like I never just stayed on the one job, like because I was always changing, because I always got bored and I was always flying into another job or moving from another job. And so everyone looked at that as like, oh, this guy's a bit of a flight risk. Whereas like I thought of it as like, I'm just testing the waters here. Like I'm just like scoping everything, getting research. Like I just like leaving school and just go, oh, I want to be an accountant for the rest of my fucking life. Like, how do you know that? You've never been an accountant. Like I've had so much experience in going through all different jobs that I've gone, I take a bit from here, take a bit from there, and then I like polish it up and then use it for my own resource.
Well, that's unreal. That's really, really cool.
So
good stuff, mate. I don't want to sound too sucky, but I'm really impressed with you as a guy and what you've done. And you know what? It's the difference between yourself and a dumb bloke, not a dumb bloke, but like me, I'm not a dumb bloke, but a guy like me is I've stayed on those jobs that I didn't appreciate, didn't like. I'm still doing what I don't really like. Yeah. And I've never really kept going, whereas you keep going. That's what. Would you classify yourself as an entrepreneur? That word?
It's weird because people have said that to me, and I hate the word because it's a bit of a buzzword. I just think, fuck, I'm just having a go. Like I'm just.
Do you think you don't like that word, and I'm just making this up, do you think you don't like that word because of the treatment in the coal mines and stuff like that?
Nah, I think it's more that what you see in social media like that.
Oh yeah, the constant hounding.
Everyone's an entrepreneur, everyone's a hustler and all the rest of it, whereas I've just gone, I'm just going to take the back seat, man, and I'm just going to quietly just achieve what I want to achieve and not sort of carry on with it all.
Tell you, from the outside looking in, you, to me, and this is no judgment, you are exactly what an entrepreneur would be happy to be, if that makes sense. I'm going to go back to this paperwork. Yeah. Now, your backstory, founded by yourself, we've spoken about the coal mining, we've got a little bit in common there. Dissatisfaction. I had a dissatisfaction. You did. You left. I stayed. Deep within it, Nicholas yearned for something more, a future that would transcend the dusty confines of the mind. Driven by an insatiable hunger for personal growth, I can see that. Anyone that knows you can probably see that you've got that hunger. And longing to create something remarkable, he set out on a courageous path of reinvention. These are your words?
Yeah.
With a deep passion for both fashion and athletic pursuits. You're, like I said, you're an athletic sort of a dude. You do a lot of running too. We'll talk about that a bit later on. Nicholas embarked on a mission to merge the worlds of resort. This is where I'll pull you up a little bit.
Yeah.
On resort wear and sportswear, creating a truly unique and inspiring brand. Now, I've never been a resort guy. We had kids as kids.
Yeah.
Never been to a resort, I don't think. So when you say resort, what was the word? Resort wear, was it?
Yeah, resort wear.
What is that?
So resort wear is anything where you would picture yourself like going to say, hey, pack up, we're going to Bali, or, you know, hanging out at a resort like I don't know if you're familiar with brands like Tommy Bahamas.
No.
It's very laid back, like try and think Hawaii,
you're
just sipping mojitos and that kind of just flowy linen shirts, just anything like you've just stolen a bag of cash and you've just bailed to Mexico or something like that. You know, it's more leisure wear, it's more chilled. So that's how I've always sort of pictured it, as being like a summer brand, which I could talk a little bit about. But yeah, we've kind of pivoted from resort wear now. Like obviously that was my initial thing, because I've always liked the idea of like traveling, and you know, obviously the beach and all that kind of stuff. So I always liked the coastal vibe, which was sort of came in with the resort wear. But then obviously there's this other side of me that I had sort of never really showed, which was like the fitness and the kind of sporty side that I had. So I kind of wanted to blend them both into sort of a collection. Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that the clothes the idea of the clothing and the mixing of the two models, so to speak, is we can go somewhere not formally, but like smart casually, but
definitely.
Also be comfortable.
Yeah, 100%.
Not wearing I've got some smart casual clothes in there that
sounds very restricting and stuff like that. I kind of feel like, you know, when I'm on holidays, like I'm always like running or like exercising or something. Like I'm not like, I'll definitely have beers, but I'll be running and then have beers.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of like trying to find that balance. I'm always like active, so that's kind of where I try and blend the sports into it.
Yeah, I was watching a video. It reminded me of myself actually when I was watching it. Not really. You were running. I think it must have been your partner Chloe on the bike, and you got the dogs, and you're running on a concrete path.
Yeah, that was
And it's like you're smiling, laughing, talking. I think, Jesus. Was I ever like that? I was a sporty dude. I was always into all my sports and relatively fit, but I just think, Jesus Christ, this bloke.
Yeah.
And that's where I picked up on the cross between the sport.
I mean, I was quite fit when I was younger. Like, I could have went a few places with it, but I found socialising and sort of went down that path playing footy and then sort of drinking on the weekends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got invited to go to all these like carnivals and stuff for running because I was generally fit, but I didn't really give a shit about it.
Yeah.
Like I was just fit because I like playing sports, but they were like, hey, you actually could be serious with this. I was like, no, I'm not going to rock up. So
but you're still doing it.
Yeah, but as
a hobby.
As a hobby now.
Fun,
so, you know, with boxing, that was one of the things that I've consistently sort of just always kept as something that I always did for fitness.
Do you still box, like train?
Train, yeah.
Yeah. I've had a discussion with you before. You mates with Dempsey McKean?
Yeah, Dempsey McKean, know him. Actually catching up with him over the weekend.
Oh, really? Okay.
For a birthday party.
Yeah.
But good mates with him. Grew up sort of around. We were all sort of the same age kind of fellas. So I knew his older brother. So yeah.
Yeah, right. He's as you know, I do a little bit of work with Tasman fighters. I sort of do some manual labour for him and a little bit of work on the fight nights and stuff. And there's always been talk of Justice and Dempsey trying to get them together for a fight, but it just doesn't seem to happen. And I know a little bit more about the business now, not a great deal, but I can see why. Justice has only had 7 fights.
Yeah.
Dempsey's had 10 or 11 now.
Yeah.
Just lost his last one. First loss.
First one.
And they said that loss actually lifted his stocks a little bit.
Yeah, right.
And in boxing terms, I used to think, once you've had a loss, that's the end. You're like,
that's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that term. Why is that?
I think I didn't watch the fight, but I've watched a bit of commentary around it. he must have went really well. I think he lost on a. I'm not quite sure of the result.
TKO.
Yeah.
Like the last 12th round.
There
It was
you go.
like the last 10 seconds of it.
Oh, jeez. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he look like he...
Yeah, he was going good, and then he just, he copped a good one,
Yeah.
and then just couldn't sort of recover, and just sort of, slumped over the ropes, and a ref just got in there. So it's devastating for him, because I felt like he probably could have let them go.
Yep.
Obviously, that was, he's been waiting that whole time to get to that moment. So, sort of want to go out on his shield.
Yeah, so that loss, like there's a couple of commentators around on Australian terms that praised him for the loss. Not for losing, not well done, you lost. It was more like, you lost, but Jesus Christ, you done well, and your stock's risen a little bit.
Yeah.
And I can see now, going back with the talk about Justice and Dempsey wanting to fight, or not, maybe they don't want to fight, but the talks of them fighting, maybe they're a bit too early in their careers, and you've got to wait a little bit longer, I get. And I know nothing about this, I'm just making my own opinion of this. Wait a little bit longer. They've had a few fights, they've both got their own following, their own name, their own brand, so to speak, and then bring them together later on in their careers and make a bit of money out of it. 'Cause that's what it's all about, making the money.
100%. I think that's what Dempsey was kind of hoping, like this would lead to a big fight, because obviously you had like Dillian White. It's sort of in the cards there for a bit there, so there was a lot of talk there, and obviously with AJ. So there was a bit of some hype about that. And we were like, shit, we were going to see one of the boys from Ippy. Do it out. So
I've never seen him. I've never met the guy in person, but I've seen a couple of his fights, and he seems like a lovely guy.
Yeah, he's great outside. Just like any other bloke, loves to have a beer and all the rest of it and have a yarn. So he's done very well. And I remember when he first sort of started boxing, I actually took him out to the gym out at Walloon there for a bit there, and remember moving around with him just because of the size of him. Just start left hook and you fucking half go out the ring.
Right. Well, hopefully he gets back on his feet again. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I'd love to see him fight, to start with, maybe Joe Goodall. Joe Goodall's he's I kind of put him in the same.
Australia's got some really good fighters coming through,
unreal.
It's
unreal
really good to see. So
the biggest problem, and I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but the biggest problem I find with Australian boxing is the promoters. I work with Tasman fighters, and they're a great bunch of people. I'm not just saying that to butter up to them, but they really look after their fighters. They look after everybody. And I genuinely believe that they are approachable, and they could deal with other people. But there seems to be other promoters, other management teams out there. They just don't want to talk. But if me and you are promoters, and I've got a good fighter, and you just talk shit about that fighter, and they need to get together. And there's plenty of money. They're not going to run out of money. Everybody gets together, looks after the fighters' interests. And makes them money. They're all going to make money on the side as well. I definitely
feel like boxing in Australia's definitely picked up quite a lot now with this next generation, especially with Tim Zhu and that coming through. It's really good for Australia. Definitely.
Bloody oath. So we've got Jai Opetaia fighting. I'm wearing his shirt today.
There you go.
He's fighting later in the month over in England.
Good luck for him.
So he's the next level. That guy. He's a freak. So there's your boxing. You might have a yarn to Dempsey. Just cover the Tasman Fighters logo and tell him to come over and have a chat. I'll meet him.
That'd actually be a good little thing.
That'd be great, because I don't represent Tasman Fighters here. I'm doing my own thing.
That'd be good.
I'd love to talk to him. Right, so we've done that. Now, your philosophy at Nikke Horrigan, we take pride in our commitment to slow fashion and exclusivity. What does that mean, to slow fashion?
Slow fashion. So, there's a lot of brands out there that just punch. They're releasing new stuff nearly every week or every couple of weeks, whereas I've sort of taken the slow approach where I've because I design clothes from the ground up. A lot of these brands, people who know sort of fashion would know this, that a lot of these brands they go on a catalogue and they'll go to a factory and they're like, oh, what's the hottest trend? And yep, sweet. And they'll just pick and select, and they'll just go, I want 1,000 of these. Make them.
Jesus.
And that's it. And then just money. Shoot them out, and they just work them out, and then they'd shoot them out, market them. Whatever sells, they would double, and so they'd make more of them. Whatever doesn't would go on sale, and they just repeat the process. So it's this massive cycle of clothes going in and out. Whereas for myself, everything I've always thought about, and it takes me months to put things together. and then obviously get that out, and then I run it for a longer time. So I only run about two collections a year now.
Okay.
And just to sort of, but it's actually getting more now because I'm bringing in a sports collection.
Yep.
But yeah, that's always been my approach, and obviously looking for sustainability, which is really hard still. I tried to do this a long time ago, but it's really hard to find the factories that are actually legit.
And it's all China, is it?
Yeah. I did go, and this is the funny thing, I tried to go to Italy and make stuff in Italy, and all they want to do is just talk and drink.
Okay.
Because I was trying to get business done, and they'd get on the phone and you'd have, hey, Nikke, and then you'd be like, oh, hey, blah, 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 like, I really like to sort of get this moving, and like, oh, sorry, like, we'll call you tomorrow, and it's just like, shit. Whereas, like, I'd deal with, the Chinese factories, it'd be just like, bang, 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 like, just because they're a massive machine, they're a monster.
What about the cost? Is China the cheapest?
No. Well, the funny thing, there's always this stigma about cost with China, and obviously back in the day when Nike was doing it, there was obviously this whole thing with sweatshops. Like I've been over there, and personally actually seen the factories and the sort of setups that they have. So the factories that we work with are legit.
Okay.
But the cost is, you would still find the same as any other factory around the world. The only thing that sort of China has, and it's the best thing, is basically 95% of everything that you wear comes from Guangzhou. Like everything, all the fabric, all buttons. So when I was like making stuff in Australia, I'd have to go source fabric from over there or somewhere else and then bring it over here, and then you got shipping costs. So then you manufacture in here, whereas like you just go over there, you have everything there, everything's around the corner, they can put it together, bundle it, send it to you, and then you're on your way. So those things do help, and cut down costs when you're considering the shipping. It's quite expensive.
Yeah, right. And how often do you go over there?
I haven't been over there since COVID, so I'm due to go over there this year. I've been speaking to a few of the factories, and they were going to come over here, but we've decided that we'll go over there and have a yarn to them and sort of make a bit of a holiday out of it.
Cool. I've always wanted to go over to the Canton Fair. This is the entrepreneur of the tradie coming out again. I want to be that guy that finds the fidget spinner, Go, the fidget spinner, I'll pay 3 cents for that and sell it for $10. Where was I up to? The slow design, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We believe that clothing should be more than just fleeting trend. It should be an expression of individuality and investment in quality and craftsmanship. Oh, that makes sense. You resonate that in your conversations. Our designs are meticulously created with attention to detail. Is that... Now, no disrespect. No disrespect at all. So the alligator.
Yeah.
Meticulously designed. So, like... And this, I really don't mean this. Is that meticulously designed, or did you just
it's the fit. And like obviously it's over here.
Yeah, I'll take some photos that I'll show you some of the stuff we've got hanging up.
And it's really hard because, and people don't know how hard it is until you actually step in and you want to start a clothing business. Is like the tech packs. There's different lengths, there's different fabric, different weights. They all sort of interact differently. So to get a good shirt, like, it does take some time. Or you could do it the cheap way and just go onto, say, Alibaba and just go, I want 1,000 of these, print my name on it, and that be it.
I've actually thought about that.
Yeah. Whereas, like, for myself, like, those things I've had to come up with and think about properly. Do I want the pocket on the left or the right? And the embroidery, is it too big? Like, it's just, there's a lot of little finer details that when you just pick up your shirt, you'd be like, oh, well, it's just a shirt, really, but you don't really know the backstory and how hard it took for me to get it there.
Yeah, right.
Jesus, it's fucking getting real hot here, right?
Getting warm, it's heating up. Probably all the lights. Sorry, mate.
It's all right.
I'll get a fan or an aircon in here one day once I start. If I get a $1 million Spotify contract, we'll have aircon.
Yep.
Okay. We believe that true confidence stems from a healthy and balanced lifestyle. Dressing well becomes a vehicle for self-expression, while confidence and health become the foundation for personal success. Join us on this transformative journey where style, confidence and wellness converge to create... Mate, that speaks for itself. The products look... Like, here I am, Mr. Fashionista. I wear a shirt that's been given to me and I'll buy a Billabong shirt at the Billabong warehouse, half price,
Yeah, it's smart.
But that's why my questions might seem a little bit blah, blah, but I really have no idea about this stuff. I'll just show the people another design. This is the I guess, what do you call that one? The fish?
The tropical fish
Tropical
tea.
fish.
Which is funny because they're like two of the most popular things, because I think guys just like throwing on a shirt. Like, not everyone's going to want to wear a Havana pull.
You're a young go-getter. How old are you? Is that all right to ask?
Yeah, 34.
34, yeah, okay, still well and truly young. And this is what you want to do?
Yeah, this is what I want to do, and obviously get into more property as well. Like I've really found an interest in property development and investment. So I've just real estate as well. Right.
So where I worked with you, it was definitely not an option. It was just draining.
That was just sort of sit there while I can sort my stuff out. Yeah. That kind of just I've
got a quick story about a guy. I've never read a book in my life, a full book.
Really?
I've gone close, but I've never read a book. Have you heard of the Attitude? You might be a bit too young. There's an Attitude clothing brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guy.
Like a fish? Was it like
a
fish?
In the end, he had a heap of designs.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So the story with him, I nearly read his book. Justin Herald, his name is. Basically, he used to go to church every Sunday with his family, you know. And him and his mates would sit down in front of the church. They didn't want to be there, but they had to go there because of their family. And this lady playing the organ used to give him a bit of grief, thinking they were a bit of trouble. And she looked at him one day and said to him, "You've got a bad attitude." So he went out with his last $50, I believe, bought 4 black T-shirts, got a pen and wrote Attitude with his own handwriting, went to a print shop and got it printed, went to the church next week and sat in the front row, him and his mates proudly.
Cool story.
Sit there proudly displaying their Attitude shirts.
That's cool, I like that.
Yeah, and then they went out after that to the pub or wherever they were going, and everyone's going, "Oh, cool shirt, where'd you get that from?" That's how it started, $50. And they've gone, "Oh, I made it myself." And then his journey, and I didn't read the whole book, but basically the next step was, "Oh, this is cool, people like it, I'm going to do this." So he borrowed some money off the parents, worked out of his shed, printed hundreds of shirts.
That's how it all starts.
Yeah, and then he tried to sell it to the shops, went into, I don't know what shops exactly, but let's say Big W and Kmart, and said, "Hey, I'm Justin Herald, here's my shirt, would you like to sell it?" Yeah, "No, I've never heard of you, mate, see you later." So instead of giving up, this is where I'm trying to put him in your category.
I've already got a story lined up because it sort of reminds me of like my story.
Oh, okay, probably the same sort of attitude.
Yeah, very same thing.
So he's got his mates to ring up every shop.
Yeah.
Ring the shop. I want you all to ring the shop 2 or 3 times a day. Ask them have they got Attitude shirts.
Yeah.
And they go, "Oh no." So he went in a week later. "Oh, hi, I'm Justin from Attitude Clothing." And he go, "Oh shit, we've had millions of phone calls about this." We'll see. What a story. What's yours?
Well, I didn't get my mates to sort of do it, but I mean, I didn't have a positive experience when I first started. Like when I was hustling through the streets, like I remember when I went to fashion school and I started making clothes and all the rest of it, and then they're like, "Hey, you should like go to these shops and like tell them who you are and show them your stuff." And I walk these streets in Brisbane and stuff like that. And I'd go into the store and meet the owners and I'd show them my clothes. And they're like, "Oh, that's really nice, but no thanks." Yeah. And I remember like this happened to me all the time. And I remember like feeling very, very lonely or very disheartened about it. But then I just knew that I had to break through that they just really didn't understand it at the time. And then obviously, as I grew, so did my style, and because you're forever evolving. Like it's never the one thing; it's always changing. I think that's what I really liked about business. That it's always moving. Like I'm always learning something. Right now, what I'm learning now with marketing and all that, it's like obviously Facebook and stuff like that. That's like a whole nother world in AI and how to use that with your business. So it's been pretty crazy in that sense. So. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the hustle thing I can definitely relate to.
So the marketing, you mentioned that now. I've noticed since I went to print out all this stuff the other day, your Facebook ads are smashing me now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's good. That's really good. Like, I'm not just saying this because I've got you on my podcast and I know you a little bit, but this stuff is really cool. I'm going to put my headphones down. I'm going to grab them and bring them over so the camera can see them, and you can talk to us a little bit about them.
So.
Okay, I'll stay there.
So this is the famous tropical tea.
That's the one I took a photo of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very resort vibe. The guys love it. Like, it's just easy to wear, obviously, and you know, it's bright and summery.
Yeah.
And it's got the sort of relaxed fit, and it's, you know, slightly distressed and worn. So I've always liked that vintage feel.
Yeah.
About things. So.
Is it a thicker cotton? Yeah.
Thicker.
It feels thicker.
Yeah. So just with that, it just sits a little bit different. So that's how I wanted it.
It's a pretty cool picture.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. It's reminds me of one of those one of those artist pictures where they, and I'm not being disrespectful, but they just paint something effortlessly and they're a hit. This looks like the same sort of thing. I'll grab this other one.
Yeah,
so that's your casual.
Yeah.
What would you call that? Casual shirt, everyday shirt.
Yeah, just throw it on.
Normal t-shirt. Yep. Right. I hope you can still hear me, Nick.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Beautiful. Now we've gone to what I'm going to say is a more casual.
That's more like your Bahamas. So this is called the Bahamas. So this is basically, you know, if you pitch yourself by the pool, you know, at a bar.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, drinking mojitos. You know.
Would you say casual wear?
Yeah, casual wear.
Yeah.
Like, you know, dining out. You know, some sort of tropical vacation.
Yep.
That's how I sort of picture it. It's very flowy. Like, if you wear it, and that's obviously for your rack.
That's for your rack.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what is that thing?
Yeah.
I've never known what that's for.
So,
How many have you got, mate? How many different designs of shirts?
I've got about 12. I mean, I sort of just bought a couple. I didn't know what to bring. Obviously, this is another popular one called the Havana Polo.
Don't really need to show you this one. This is the one you got on.
Yeah, so yeah.
But yeah, that feels light.
Yeah, so it's just a cool vibe, and it's like based around like a 70s vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Right. And you wouldn't ever. I'm asking some silly questions, but you would never whack a fish or a crocodile logo on something.
I've thought about doing things like that. And that's one of the other things about, you know, designing. It's, you know, you never know until you sort of get it out to the market, whether it's going to sink or swim. So it's always trial and error, basically, because what you think's going to work not always will work, and what you thought was the shittest thing will be the most popular thing. So
yeah, right.
You can always be surprised.
I've got some more coming over here. Another t-shirt. I like this one. The crocodile. Is it crocodile or alligator?
Yeah,
crocodile.
It's an alligator.
Alligator. Yeah.
Yeah, but I call it croc tee, but it reminds me more of an alligator.
That's the same sort of material.
Yep. Yeah.
They feel thicker and more durable, I guess.
Well, they've been sold out like a number of times now, so we've got new stock coming in them. So a lot of the boys just love it. I think it's just because it's like a bit of a party shirt.
That's something you'd wear to the pub on
just have a couple of bevies
for a summer Christmas party or something.
Yeah.
If you're not into the formal stuff, I guess. Well, it's not really formal, it's casual.
Yeah, it's casual.
I think, look at me, I dress in t-shirts every day, so I'm more of a casual sort of a dude.
Yeah, so this is obviously more your what would you call it?
Resort wear?
Resort wear, yeah.
Just show the logo. So what's that one? That's the oranges, isn't it?
Yeah, orange.
You can give that to your footy mates who are all sitting on the bench. And you got your label there again,
Yeah.
So that feels like
so that's a cotton. So that's Monaco. That's a Monaco shirt. So I just inspired by like places of travel.
Yep.
So yeah.
And we've got one more to show for today.
Oh yeah.
And this is only your shirts, obviously. You've got a whole range of clothing.
So the Hamptons pool shirt.
Oh yeah, that's lighter.
That's really popular.
Yeah, right.
So it's like breezy. So when you wear that, you just it feels so flowy.
Yeah, and you designed the ship?
Yep.
Or the yacht?
Yep.
Yeah, right, see. And that's what I mean, there's so much more in it than just going
it's so hard because you're just like, will people like it, you know, but you just got your little pen
holder,
yeah, so I've always tried to incorporate the sporty kind of thing into everything. And
what about other stuff like shorts and
I got I'm wearing my shorts at the moment. I've got swim shorts and forgot. So like running caps.
Oh yeah, yep. Geez, that's nice and light.
Yeah, so you know when you go on those big runs and you're all sweaty, so it's all quick dry stuff.
Yeah, that's really light. Oh, so that one, a beachy sort of, or running.
They all sell out.
How would I describe this to people? Like the feel of that? It's like a board short type material.
It's quick dry. So
quick dry, yeah.
And then this is the other sub brand under Nikke Horrigan, which is called Runner's High. I don't know if people can see it. Runner's High. So
go that way, yeah.
I don't know if people understand the terminology of runner's high.
No, well, can you give us a...
Oh, well,
so I don't. I'm a dummy.
Yeah, so basically runner's high is like that feeling of, you get to a point when runner gets to a point where he's like in pain, but it feels good, like it's all your endorphins.
Okay, yeah.
You're rolling, and they kind of explain it as a high. You kind of get like high off the adrenaline of running, you know, for a long distance. So that's what I've...
So that's a brand.
Yeah, well, it's a sub-brand category underneath Nikke Horrigan.
Still yours?
Yeah.
Okay. And you work by yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. Even to now, it's still...
Yeah, so, I mean, I've got people working remotely, but not in-house with me, no. So everything's like a one-man sort of band kind of thing. So it's a lot to juggle, like it's quite a lot.
And that's why you do it full-time?
Yeah, definitely. So,
good stuff.
Yeah.
Mate, this is really cool. I'm inspired by what I've had on today. You're a go-getter. Honestly, you are... Without being disrespectful, you are an entrepreneur in my words. Exactly what I would see an entrepreneur, someone that keeps going and going and going and doesn't give up and puts up with the slide remarks from their workmates and their old school mates and just keeps going. And look at you now. Look, I'm still going and locking people up, and
I'm sweating.
Yeah, sweating. This has been good, mate. You got anything else you'd like to add or talk about, or a new collection coming out soon?
We've got a new collection, Runners High, new collection, so that will be coming out shortly. But I mean, for anyone that's wanting to sort of start anything, I reckon it's just back yourself. I mean, you're always going to catch flack from people, and it just comes from a place of insecurity. Like people don't. And I was seeing this very early on, because I used to do a lot of blogging back in the day. Like my whole journey.
Blogging? Like this?
Like I used to write.
Yeah.
Like my journey of like how I went to China and how I liked going across all these obstacles and meet them, and how your friends would change, or the perception of you. Because, you know, and even in the workplace, once people found out that you were doing certain things, they kind of didn't like you because obviously they weren't doing as good as you. So then they want to pull you down and sort of... I cop that a lot all the time, you know, and, you know, there were places when you just go, I'm probably, you know, way more successful than people that are telling me what to do.
And you're not going to be that guy that rubs it in their face either.
No, so, you know, and this is what I said earlier, it's just like I'm just going to be quiet and just do my thing. So, I mean, for anyone out there, man, just you got to have a crack. Just take the first step. As small as it sounds, it's the way to do it, I think. Like, you know, I feel like there's so many people that have ideas, but they've always got something in the back of their mind that sort of pulls them back. Whereas, like, I feel like you just got to go for it.
I'm not just agreeing with you, mate. I've actually lived that. Like I said, I've had some ideas in the past, and the footy cards. I could have been making them every weekend and not going where I'm going.
Yeah.
But I just don't have the... Well, maybe it's the knowledge, the drive, all those things that you need, like you've got to keep going.
I think a lot of it comes down to people are scared to fail. Like my whole life I've failed. I've failed heaps. I fail all the time. Like I fail every day. Like there's shit that I do that I go, oh, you're an idiot. But I know that's just part of the journey. Like you can't have success without the failures. Like, you know, when I fail, I go, well, that's great because now I know not to do something a certain way, or, you know, and it just takes time. It's like reading books and stuff like that. Like self-education is probably one of the biggest things for me. You know, a little bit of a backstory. Like I was pretty naughty back in the day. I got caught drink driving and lost my license for 12 months. And I didn't have a job and all the rest of it. So I really hit rock bottom. And I found myself diving into books about business and, you know, self-help. And I spent a lot of time on my own and really sort of got into what it really means to be you and where you really want to go. And I looked around, I was like, well, who are all these mates I've been hanging out? All just drinking buddies. Fucking, they're not there when you don't have your license. They're not going to pick you up and all the rest of it when you're down. And I said, the only person who's going to pick up is you. So I relied heavily on myself and then sort of built myself from then. And that's how I sort of established myself and really got that drive from that. So, yeah.
Mate, that's good. That's such a great story you've got. And I wish you all the best in the future.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Mate, before we go, a couple of things I'd like to quickly touch on. And I'm no expert, but you sound like the kind of guy that can actually write one of them books that you're reading.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about teaching people?
It was funny that said that is because I always thought like, I'd like to help people, and I've given people opportunities to sort of learn what I've done, but they spoil it by a lot of people say it, but they're not ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Where they don't think, everyone's like, oh yeah, I'd really like to, open up, a clothing brand or whatever it is, and do that and this, and I'm like, oh yeah, but do you have what it takes to sort of like keep driving? Like once you hit that first obstacle that something doesn't work for you, are you going to crumble, or are you going to pick yourself back up and keep going? And I think that's what a lot of people lack, is that strength to go through.
I think you're spot on. I'm one of those people. Oh, your socials. Look, with my podcast from now on, I want to learn all this technical stuff. I'm still learning as we go, but I'm going to put all your socials down the bottom, or attach it to however I do it on YouTube or whatever. Is it just the Nikke? Give them a shout out now, and I'll attach them to the bottom as well.
Just nikkehorrigan.com.
Which is pretty much that.
The name,
and you've got everything on there. I stole that from it.
Everything's on there. You'll find everything on the website.
Products.
Products and all that.
Payments and all that stuff. Do you have Afterpay?
Yeah.
Isn't that a cool thing? I've only used it once.
Afterpay. There's a few other things that we use, because obviously we've got like international customers. So they use different payment plans and stuff like that. And that's another interesting thing, like having a diverse range of customers. So Australian customers engage with the brand differently, as opposed to like, say, people in the States. Like they have different sort of values. So that's always interesting how you tweak things. So
Where do you sell? Like all over the world?
Yeah, all over the world.
What's your biggest?
The US is big now. Like we just started getting into there. Started moving into New Zealand, Canada, Spain, Portugal, like just some random places, and obviously Australia. And that was kind of always been the original thing, because I'm from here. And then I was like, well, what's going on here? Because we're a summer brand, and like as we started to move into winter, I needed to start changing things. So we decided to actually start targeting the US audience, because obviously it was summer over there. And then just hit a gold mine, and then just basically, now we just pivot from season. So
you have to do a couple of trips over there.
Yeah, well, definitely. So it's cool, like meeting a lot of influencers and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And
beautiful, mate. If you're happy with that, anything else you wanted to add?
No, that's...
Can we get you back again one day? Like to launch instead of having a chat about the whole background in your life, we'll have some stuff here if you want to launch something. Like I'm no Joe Rogan, but mate.
No, I appreciate the time.
I really appreciate having you on here.
Hopefully, it'll give you viewers something.
Definitely, mate. Like.